Hey y'all, I'm Courtney.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is Bodice Siblings,
the podcast where we read all the books we used to steal off our grandmother's nightstands.
And then we drink about it.
On this episode, we read Danger Zone by Doreen, Owens, Malek. This is a romantic suspense book that surprisingly, even though it has mercenaries and terrorists, doesn't really have anything that's going to bother most people. It's got a fake South American terrorist, and it's got a real Northern Ireland terrorist, activity. Because it does deal in a kind of elliptical way with the Troubles.
We call those freedom fighters.
It's got Mujahideen.
Maybe the trigger warning is me and my feelings about the IRA.
I'm still hoping for the Star Trek Irish reunification of 2024.
There you go. Maybe it'll happen.
So it's got that. But, for a book that is full of kidnappings and being on the run and that sort of thing, there's really nothing in it that's not.
No, it is delightfully progressive for a book from 1987. And I think that you can proceed with this one at will.
Yeah.
Unless you really hate the Irish. Maybe you do. But I don't know.
Maybe you hate complicated boilers. I don't, that's the...
This man hates a toaster. He hates an old-fashioned toaster.
So, hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all.
It's the day before Valentine's Day here, and I stopped at the grocery store.
Happy Galentine's.
Well, I don't know about Galentine's because maybe the women prepare more, but Publix was absolutely packed to the brim full of terrified men buying 2 flowers.
Oh my gosh, the grocery store flower. At least they're going to Publix and getting the Publix grocery store flower.
Oh no, they had some lovely flowers, honestly.
I love a Publix flower. They do really nice.
But it's just the terror in their faces.
Oh no, they always.
So, let's talk about this book and why we picked this book.
Okay.
So friend of the podcast, Steve Ammidown, we always just crib our best ideas from him. We really appreciate him. On Blue Sky, he said he was going through 1989's Romance Reader's Handbook, which is this sort of spiral bound jobbity job. It looks like a cookbook, but it's a handbook. And there's a page of every 5-heart review Melinda Helfer gave, because she's a Romantic Times editor. And she had reviewed 10,000 books and only given 5 hearts to 16 of them. So I was like, ooh, which ones are these? Well, it turns out that we'd actually already done episodes on 2 of them. And
which ones did we do, Sarah?
Oh my God. Wouldn't you like to know? 2 Sharon and Todd Curtis joints, Lightning That Lingers and the Windflower, which we loved. We thought they were great. So we were like, oh, okay. So Melinda Helfer knows her shit. What we should do is just get all the rest of these books. And it's a fascinating list because about half of them are series romance. And so you got Silhouettes and Love Sweps and Silhouette Special Edition, Silhouette Intimate Moments, which is what this one is. And then standalones. But so, it's got a good mix of little short series romance and larger standalone published romance. And we like 2 of them already. So this is the first one that we've done kind of on purpose. But I highly recommend you go back and listen to our episodes on The Windflower and Lightning That Lingers because they were great. We really, really like those 2 books.
They were enjoyable, yes. And those are books that also have very little in the way of trigger warnings. And I feel like we're both a little bit... I mean, there were trigger warnings, but
Yeah, for a book where they're constantly threatening to rape the heroine, The Windflower is the least rapey book.
That is true.
It's very
Although
funny.
They did make out after she'd been, stranded on a desert island for a month.
Yeah, with malaria, he kissed that. So that's a trigger warning in and of itself.
Yes.
But otherwise... yeah. So, let's see, are these favorite books, are they, generally more progressive? Or are they,
where do they sit?
Where do they
scale?
So, so this one is specifically a Silhouette Intimate Moments. And it's the kind of thing that I often I read a lot of these kind of books that were about mercenaries or about really hard guys. Right. But reading them now, they can be super off-putting. Oh god, that Ride the Thunder, that Janet Daly one that we where that guy was awful. But this one is not like that. It's great. But it is a mercenary book, and it is a sexy book.
Basically, post Romancing the Stone, you get an onslaught of these, in South America books, and there's only one Romancing the Stone. Let's be honest. But, what else could come close to it, I guess? Okay, so this book was written by Doreen Owens Malek. This is the first Doreen Owens Malek book I read, but it's a delight. And she actually has a lot of them. This one was kind of part of a little unofficial, they're not really connected trilogy, and they all deal with, things that Courtney loves. They have that, one of them is a, mafia princess and an FBI agent. But she has, she's got a fairly prolific kind of collection. She started off as an attorney who decided on her current career when she sold her first novel to the first editor who saw it and decided, I don't want to be a lawyer, I want to write. So she has 77 books total and lives in Pennsylvania with her mini dachshund and her parrot and her husband, and is just best lifing. The best thing about this podcast are finding these kind of unknown authors.
Yeah, I had never heard of her, and I really enjoyed this book a lot. I will definitely read some more of her.
Yeah, so Doreen, Owens, Malek. She doesn't really have a big, web presence. I'm trying to see when her most current book was. Her most famous one is called The Panther and the Pearl. And it's a harem book. So if we did that one, it would be, kind of proceed with caution.
We'll see.
But yeah, so she is still out and about and talking to fans. And so, yeah.
Good for you, Doreen. So this book, the object of the book is delightful. I love it when the book has a scene that you is a really specific scene from the book that they it's a painted cover and that they know enough about the book to really do it up. So this is from the book and it's great because she's wearing kind of the kind of Mima nightgown that has straps. And they're in front of a fire and he's shirtless. He's still wearing his jeans and his socks. Not the hottest look at a man as your white crease socks. But, and so the artist has drawn her nipples through this nightgown with the kind of care that Leonardo da Vinci put onto every layer of the Mona Lisa smile. And then she has drawn, I don't know who it is. They've drawn his feet like the rest of the owl. Okay. It looks like a bean at the end of his leg. It is obviously all about her nip nops. And then it's got the tagline, the most dangerous game, love. He's not hunting humans for sport. He's actually getting paid. Anyway, I'll read the back.
I would read that version of the most dangerous game. A lady's well, instead of him hunting me, what if I could get him from killing me by making him love me and then I kill him?
Oh. I bet somebody's written it, but if they haven't, we could.
I know.
Oh my God.
Let me get on AO3. You'd be like, okay.
So the back cover copy, a game of chance. He was a renegade, a gun for hire. He lived by his own rules, playing a high-risk game of danger and intrigue. For a man like Stephen Coulter, the future held no promises. Ellipsis. Until he rescued Karen Walsh from the hands of South American militants. He thought she was lovely, yet his instincts told him to run for cover. He had never known a more caring, more captivating woman. And now the lady was reversing the odds. For the first time in his life, he was in love. Though becoming a hostage to his heart was against his nature, he discovered that surrender could be oh so sweet. That is actually what happens in this book.
Yeah,
so I'll give
it's pretty solid.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward, except for all the just bringing in loaded mercenary words is very funny to me.
It is pretty great. All right, so we start our journey on the fictional country of Almeria. Our girl Karen Walsh she is formerly married to an old stodgy British guy. Her parents died when she was very young. She and her sister were raised by their stodgy aunt. She gets married to this stodgy British guy because she's tired of living with the stodgy aunt. So, go for one stodge over the other.
But he treats her good.
No, he's great. He's just very uptight and older. And it's, she's definitely going through that period where she, wanted some kind of fatherly love or whatever.
But anyway, she gets to go to a cool foreign country.
No, anyway, she's divorced now. She's living her best life in Almeria and has an apartment in Ascension. So, she's doing great. So she is a Spanish translator for an embassy.
The British embassy.
Yes. And then he gets taken over. She's people are at the post office and the post office gets taken over. I appreciate that she's made up this foreign country as to not try to navigate,
Yeah. She's not going to mess with that, which makes it much more hilarious that she just wades right into the troubles.
Yes. So it starts with her, everybody's sitting there. They've been in this hostage situation for 5 days.
But I will say it's not the kind of hostage situation where everybody like seems like they're about to be raped.
No, she does. She makes it very clear throughout the book that no woman was physically harmed.
And then when you see the men later, some of them just like somebody has a fat lip.
Yeah, so I got like punched in the face.
Yeah, it's not like a super fraught like. Yeah.
Okay, so she's hanging out, and all of a sudden the door busts open, and this white blonde man comes in. He's very tan.
I like to think that he had a headband. I don't know.
They better have headbands. I like the 80s movies got me like, you know, Commando, Vasquez from Aliens, all the hot ones had headbands.
And he better not be wearing sleeves.
So he comes busting in, and she's like, at first she thinks he's one of the bad, you know, one of the bad guys, and he's like, hey, how's everybody doing? And she's like, we're okay. And he's like, you seem calm and rational. Come with me. So he takes her and he gives her instructions. This is the wildest part. He takes her outside where all this stuff's happening. You know, she's got her, like, again, Commando is going on. Things are blowing up. And he's talking to her, and he's like, all right, your job is to go back to where I just brought you from and bring all those people out. And I'm like, well, could you just told her to do that there? Like, why does she have to double back? Anyway, so they get saved. Hooray. And she's on a boat with him leaving. Almeria is an island country, everyone. So they're heading back to the mainland, and they have like this special moment on the boat. You know, she's too wired. She can't sleep. So she's up on the, you know, the ship, the deck of the boat, and Blondie is talking to her. And again, this man's hair is white blonde. And see, I don't have the same problem Sarah
I love a blonde man
has with blonde, but like when it's like jarring white hair, I'm always like, meh. But like, anyway, that doesn't matter. They have this like, you know, he's like, my name is Steve Coulter. And she's like, I'm going to call you Steven. And he's like, only one person's called me Steven before. And she's like, what happened to them? And he's like, they're dead. And she's like, well, I want to be special, so I'm going to call you Steven. And he's like, okay. You know, they leave off the boat, and they're you know, the embassy has put them up and all the hostage survivors into a very nice hotel.
And they have an expense account that, like, you know, so her friend Linda,
who is the real hero.
Amazing. Because, like, Karen is like, well, she's like, well, I guess I should get some sensible slacks. I don't want to, like, see if I can get something on sale.
No, so she gets out, you know, she's at the hotel. She's finally gotten a little bit of sleep. And she gets a floral arrangement delivery with a note that's from Steve Coulter, and is like, I would love to take you out tonight. So Steve is smooth. And she's like, great. She's like, oh no, all I have are my hostage pants.
And Linda's like, I've already spent $10,000 of the British Embassy's money.
Yes. And she's like, well, how could this is so this is so crazy.
We could have fucking died,
yes,
Karen.
Linda's like, girl, you buying that, you buying this, you buying this.
They go shopping together, and it's great. It's delightful.
Like
a Pretty Woman.
Yes. And Linda's like, she's like, I can't buy this. It's too dear. And Linda's like, shut the fuck up. Yes, you can. And you know how much the British money, like, government makes, you know, she's like, Linda's the best. So she's got this outfit. She meets him for dinner, where they go, like, he takes her to this like hole in the wall little place, and you know, he's ordering for, he's like,
but just she's a Spanish translator.
He's like, dos cafés, por favor. And she's like, ooh. And then they're eating like this traditional, like, you know, this traditional South American dish with like this fish dish. It's like a fish stew. And he's like, well, you know, this has clay in it. And she acts disgusted. And I'm like, anyway, that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But they have an argument because she's like, why are you a mercenary? And he's like, why not? And she's like, but I don't understand. Granted, this man just saved her ass like less than, 24 hours ago. And she's already like, you could be a teacher or something. And he's like, what? So he does a storm off. All the storm offs that happen in this are with him, and it's amazing.
Yes, he's very sensitive.
He does a beach storm off, and she comes and finds him, and she's like...
She is, by the way, walking on the sand with her pantyhose.
Oh, God. Ugh. The worst feeling. I can't even imagine it.
My toes are curling up just thinking about it.
Just take the pantyhose off. Like, nobody wear... Anyway. So,
they did back then.
They make out on the beach a little bit. They go back and have some coffee, and he takes her back to the, he's like, so your place or mine? And she's like, I'm not fucking you. And he's like, but I saved your life. And she's like, I said, thank you. And he's like, boo, boo, boo. And she's like, no, I'm not going to be one of those women. And I was like,
I bet you have a lot of them, right?
Yeah. Good for her. So she ends
But she really does want to ride him like a pony.
Oh, yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to get a hold of that white blonde hair? They say goodnight, and she's like, I'm never going to see you again, am I? And he's like, Probably not. So she gives him her address and her phone, her sister's address and her sister's phone number where she's going to go live in New Jersey. And so she's spending, she's in Jersey. She's reacclimating. She can't.
Meanwhile, Linda's like, what the fuck? Why? Wait, you didn't fuck him?
And she's like, no. Linda's like, you're an idiot.
But Linda goes back to London.
Yes. And so she's just living with her sister, Grace, and she cannot find a job.
And Grace, of course, has the 2.5 kids in the house in the suburbs. And all.
But also, I don't understand how she can't find a job. One, she's a former hostage.
Yeah.
And then 2, she's a Spanish translator. I don't care this 1987.
It's wild.
You're hop, skip, and a jump. You could work for the UN. You're telling me they don't have jobs?
Well, everybody in 1987 was a hostage survivor.
That's true.
It was actually easier to get hired if you weren't one because it set you out from the pack.
Something about me is I've never been in a hostage situation. So, everybody on those Pan Am flights always getting taken over.
Anybody who did not spend 2 weeks on a tarmac somewhere, shit in a bucket.
I did wonder about that with her pants because she kept talking about that. I was like, did they get to go to the bathroom? Was there a shit bucket? Anyway, I always wonder about the shit bucket situation.
Right.
That's why I don't camp. Everything's bathroom based with me because I always think about the bathroom situation.
I would do so much more backpacking if there were toilets. Yeah.
You need one of those little outdoor ones you can carry.
I'm not carrying that shit. I carry enough shit. Oh my God.
You just have one of those little unfoldable toilets and you can just sit there. Yeah.
Making eye contact with a deer.
Yes, perfect. Okay. We got to learn how to make okay. Anyway. But then she gets a call one night from this Irish woman who's like, this is Maureen O'Shea calling from northern Belfast, Ireland. Do you know?
We're going to get calls, Courtney. We're going to get.
Do you know a Stephen Coulter? And she's like, yeah, I do. And he's like, he's dying, and he said you could have all of his stuff if he dies. It's like, okay, what? But first of all, I was like, what is she gonna do? This is a terrible mistake because he didn't call his lawyer. He's got bank accounts everywhere, which we find out later.
Can you even imagine? And that was back in the day where the numbered Swiss ones were real.
Yes.
She doesn't know where to look for this shit. She's never gonna. It's like if you're a hoarder grandma dies who didn't trust banks and you got to go through every fucking book on her bookshelf looking for $100 bills. No, oh my God. He doesn't have a file.
But then we find out that old Karen has a history of trying to fix broken men. And so she's like, I've got to go to Belfast. And her sister's like, really?
You got to go where?
There's
1987.
Shit's being blown up.
Holy shit.
Yeah, she's like, but I have to. He needs me. So we go through this. And then she has the audacity to be mad that people are searching her.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, oh, you have an Irish name. She's like, but I'm American. And they're
and then she's going, she has no return ticket. She's going by herself, on the ferry. And of course they search her because they're like,
yeah, she had to fly to Liverpool. And then I do like that old Malek here kind of dogs that she's like, it was grimy and only thing good about it was the Beatles and you could not understand any of them. I was like, whoa, coming hard for the Scouse population, from the jump.
But yeah, obviously they give her extra scrutiny because she's a young woman who knows nobody in Ireland and she's going there for a man and she has no return ticket. Come on, that looks sketchy as fuck. Remember when they got a girl like that to take a bomb on a plane and then guess what? You spend 2 weeks in a fucking tarmac. That's how you get tarmacked. God, they're really gonna come for us.
Who? They're still on the tarmac. They don't have Wi-Fi. They can't hear this.
Yeah, I honestly I don't think boomers actually.
I'm making Pan Am jokes over here.
So anyway, she goes and she has to argue. She has to truly Karen out, by the way, to see him, which is true because he hasn't said that anybody's allowed to see him. And then she's like, no, of course I can. Why? Well, because I get all this shit when he dies.
They're like, but you don't get to see him before. And then the greatest comment, the woman who called her, she's like, well, why did you call me? She's like, oh, he's not part of the UK system. The NHS isn't going to cover him. We need somebody to pay the bill. And Karen's like, well, I've got it. I was like, how much was that bill?
Yeah, you have no idea.
This unemployed bitch just flew across the country, and then then paid, however much. Well, you know what? I bet they still don't probably like.
Oh, I'm sure it's not.
It's like probably like $500.
Right.
So she pays his bill and she goes in to see if they finally let her. She's like, get out. You can't see me like this.
I told them to call you when I died, and they called you before I died. And she was like, I have a dick appointment.
So she basically wears him down.
Yeah.
She just keeps coming back and he's like, oh, go away.
Dick appointment. You have to get better.
But this hoe is so invested in this white blonde haired man.
She can fix him.
God, his eyebrows are a mess.
Oh my God. He doesn't plug that shit.
But I'm saying, when
No
they're
moisturizer,
so white,
by the way.
they're so white that anyway. So he's getting ready to leave, and then she rents a cabin from one of the
nurse's relatives,
cousins, down in that. Now, we're leaving Northern Ireland. We're going back. We're going to Ireland proper now, so we don't have to worry about the bombs and shit. But before she does that, she has to go get his stuff from a lady who is a sex worker, and we like the sex worker. She's great.
Yeah. Of course, the cab drivers are like, "Are you sure you want to go in there?"
Yeah, this is American.
And they actually have a great conversation, and then she's like, "You can't fucking fix them, right?"
Yeah, so she takes him to this cabin, and the entire time he spends complaining about
everything,
the appliances. I was like, "Are you sure that you're a mercenary that goes into developing nations?"
Well, and then it takes her. I mean, it was actually really kind of a realistically harrowing thing. She's got this practically strange man in this tiny little car. She doesn't know where she's going. There's no GPS and whatnot, right? And I mean, he's in pain, and it's just they finally get to this fucking cabin. And oh, thank God. Oh, we can't work the fucking meat.
Oh, yeah, so we have to have a fire, so they have to cut up. And finally, this man he could not withstand the car ride. He kept falling asleep and stuff. Is he sees her in the seat through Meemaw dress.
I'm telling you, that Meemaw nightgown kept your grandma pregnant and paid for.
He sees her in the Meemaw nightgown, and he's
stoking up the fire.
He's like, I gotta have it. They're in process, and then mid thrust, he's like, oh. This is a bad idea. And he's like, get on top. And they do it. And then they do it a bunch. And so they spend a month, 2 months,
Yeah, he really has to recover.
Yeah. And they again, he's like, I don't understand this toaster. I don't understand how this works. Why is this? He is complaining about. This is the same man that lectured her on making stink face about the clay in the fish stew, which, she should know. But then also he's like, why is this butter all white? And she's like, it doesn't have food coloring. Why is it what's wrong with this bread? Why has it got so much seeds in it? Because it's not as processed. I was like,
that man goes to everywhere in the world, but he eats chicken nuggets.
He is just fussy. And he is so fussy. And he's so I was an orphan. I was raised by the nuns. And I am not good enough to be in a relationship. That is his whole.
It's the whole I'm a killer. That's all I know how to do thing.
Yes, but but you find out that really he's not even that. He just goes and gets people out of hostage situations.
And he's like, I'm not a good guy. Wait, you are a good guy. You just said no. I'm not a good guy. And if you say I'm a good guy, I swear to God, I gotta fuck you again.
I'll show you. So they're it's
don't make me eat you out again.
It's winding down. He's obviously getting better. And then just one night, some randos show up, 4 guys. They're like, hey, they need his help to get somebody out of prison.
In Lebanon, right?
No, that's after.
Oh, that's after.
So they're okay. So he's like, where can I send you? She gets to go stay with Linda and has a big ass time with Linda because Linda's amazing. Linda lives in a posh, fancy house and
Linda's mom is a bitch, but
Yeah, she's like, I hate my stepmom, blah, blah, blah. So they're just having a large time. She's going to fancy parties with Linda, because Linda's like, oh my God, shut up. I get that you're sad, but what are you going to do? She's like, so put on this Asian inspired dress that I got worried for a minute, but it's not really appropriating. It wasn't it was a strapless thing. I think it was just the silk and stuff.
Yeah, I think it was okay, honestly.
And then he shows up and they go and bang it out. And then he's like, well, I got to go to Lebanon tomorrow. And she's like, you son of a bitch. Rightfully so. She's like, you piece of work. Like, you knew this. And he's like, well, I didn't know I was going to Lebanon. He does that thing. He does that man thing. He's like, I can't be with you. He's like, she's like, I love you. He's like, I know. He's like, but I can't. I'm not meant for that life. What am I going to be, a CPA? And it's like, all right. So he goes to Lebanon. She gets mad and goes back to, like, with her sister. And then...
Well, when do the... So I read this several months ago. When do they come and, like, she's not quite kidnapped, but there's a kidnap threat, and there's, like, a guard, and, like, she's held hostage, essentially, but, like, in a house arrest kind of way?
No, that's when the people escorted her to Linda's. And there was, like, a guy who was always kind of there watching, but Linda had the hots for him.
Yeah, Linda kind of started bringing him coffee, and then Linda's bagging the...
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like a threat of kidnapping. It's like, Steve, if you don't do what we want you to do, we're going to harm these ladies. I mean...
Yeah, but they were also like, but it was never that nefarious. But like,
well, you were never really worried about him, no.
No, because it's like, Linda kept being like, I should invite him in for coffee. He. So they break up again. And he's like, this is the last time you'll ever see me.
Yeah, I heard that a few times.
And so she's back in New York. Like, she's back in New Jersey. She's, like, working for a lawyer.
She goes on a date, which that would, like, put up the fucking bat signal across the goddamn international terrorism, like,
She's on a date because her sister was like, just go on a date. And then her sister calls the restaurant to be like, he's here. And she's like, who? She's like, this scary guy that you like with the white blonde hair.
Hey, young people, you used to actually call a restaurant. Like, if you were babysitting, you had the phone number of the restaurant that people were going to, because if something happened, you literally had to call the restaurant, and they would take a phone with a really long cord out to your table in a restaurant. I had to do it once.
Did you have to call somebody, or did you have to answer the...
No, I had to call somebody because, the dad's brother called because, like, their mom had died.
Oh, Jesus. Did you have to tell this guy that his mom died?
I had to say, like, well, yeah, you need to call it serious. You need to call your brother,
Yeah.
But, so, like, you used to actually do that. You would call a restaurant for all kind of reasons. And you'd be like, is Courtney there? And they'd be like, I don't fucking know. I guess they'd be like, yes, ma'am.
So, and the sister's like, he's really scary and he threatened me. And, like, because their last fight, she accused him of treating her like a hoe. A whore was her verbiage, not mine. And he shook her a little bit. There was a little bit of a shaking.
It wasn't.
It was a minor shaking. And she's like, he's scary and he's coming your way. And he gets there and has the audacity to be all butthurt.
He is a total asshole, I had to say, in this restaurant. But he is embarrassing.
She gives him the business, but then he's like, I'm going to marry you, and I'm going to get a job in New Mexico.
And they both get thrown out of this restaurant.
Yeah, they get thrown out, but they go to a hotel, and they bang it out, and they get married, and they live in New Mexico.
Yeah.
The end.
The end. I really enjoyed this book.
No, it was a delight.
Like, of all the hard men books, I think this might be my favorite. Well, guy, anyway. I had to say the one where the guy got his face transplanted, and she had to try to see if that was her husband's dick or not.
I'm always going to win with face transplant, but it does segue into big dick energy. This dude, here's the thing. On the outside, he is commando, but on the inside, he is every new romantic, post-punk, sad boy, 80s band. Like, he is straight up Morrissey. Be like, nobody understands. Like, he is Robert Smith. He is misunderstood. No one knows what he has been through. He does storm-offs. He's always smoking, letting ashes drop on him. I was like, why is this man got this white blonde hair? Because this is clearly, like, based off of all of my favorite bands. Like, he is obviously hanging around Manchester, at the hacienda, and is so emo.
He has a huge EQ. Like, he has usually these guys, they don't want to talk about themselves, of course, but then they have no introspection whatsoever. This guy is all introspection. And I mean, he has had it, like, legit rough. Like, he couldn't handle school.
He probably
had fucking ADHD.
Yeah, you find out he's dropped off on the doorstep of an orphanage and has no idea who his parents are, and, like, ran away from the orphanage at, like, 15, didn't finish school, and is like, what can I do but, these hands. These hands. Y'all, this motherfucker, this smug strawberry blonde, white-haired motherfucker actually quotes Jim Croce, my songwriter boyfriend, quotes "Time in a Bottle" to this lady. I was like, that's when I was like, I'm done. Like I was like, on my bingo card for this book about a mercenary in 1987 called Danger Zone. Danger Zone.
Highway to...
By my other songwriting boyfriend, Kenny Loggins. He quotes Jim motherfucking Croce. And I was like, just take me out back.
Well, I was kind of actually like that bullshit that he pulled at the restaurant.
I did not like that. That was like the first red flag. I was like, this is upsetting. I don't, because he's all like trying to square up to the dude.
That is not the way he is in any of the rest of the book. No. It's like she couldn't figure out how to end it.
But you know what? We've never seen him interact with anyone else.
That's
other
true.
than like the nurses.
They spend a lot of time in a cabin together in a Mima nightgown.
Yes. So, I mean, again, he is interesting because he does have all of this emotional intelligence and is very open. And like, I mean, he tells her he loves her before he breaks up with her for like the fourth time. And is like, I love you, but I can't be with you. And so it is, you know, he's
always very emotionally honest. Like he explains it exactly why he's doing things, even though the things that he's doing
are stupid as hell. But like, I mean, he really needs therapy. But, yeah, I mean, aside from his white blonde hair, like everything else about him is like,
he's great.
Great.
Absolutely great. Would you talk shit with her about the heroine?
I mean, for being a Karen.
Yeah.
Where she has her Karen moments, but she's pretty great. She's
a little sheltered, but she's not like so sheltered.
No, but they banter really well back and forth. And it's
funny too.
Yeah.
It's not like insert funny stuff here, which is like sometimes what the banter is like.
No, it's really good. I mean, she's competent. She's, a Spanish translator, even though, again, she's impressed by his...
Yeah, it's weird. Dos cafes.
Dos cafes, por favor. I was like, girl... You could be ordering this too. What is happening? I don't understand. But she is great. And, she's able, like, her and her sister have, like, when she's like, I need you to give me a break, Well,
we can move to Bechtel to bitch because there's this sister who is great. And also there's Linda who's great. But she even has, like, like a brief relationship with a nurse. Like there's a lot in this book, which is very short. There's a lot of female relationships.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's more female characters than there are male characters. And that's nice to see.
And there's even like the shitty stepmother. I mean, there's just like a wide variety of women.
Yes, there's this hospital in Northern Ireland is like no dicks allowed other than the one that's in that one room because it's just nothing but women. But I mean, and all of them have like different personalities and characterizations. So it's really kind of well rounded in the woman verse.
Absolutely. When it comes to consent, is this book more Robin Thicke or Marvin Gaye?
Oh my God, it is the most Marvin Gaye. Like again, he sees her little sheer Mimo nightgown, and he
is always talking her into it. But the reason he has to talk her into it is because she's like, "You got shot."
No, yeah, but she's like, "Give it to me." Like they are very into it.
I actually I have a Purple Prose candidate. Evidently, I read this months ago, but I evidently dog-eared it, and then I was like, "Well, what did I dog-ear this page for?" Oh, yes. This. He guided her hand down his body to his thigh. She could feel him, stallion ready, through the thin barrier of the sheet. Stallion ready. Yeah, I dog-eared that one. Stallion ready.
Got on a shirt, stallion ready.
With a hyphen, stallion hyphen ready.
Yes.
How badly are you judging your mama for reading this book?
Oh, I would have devoured.
I would have stolen this one like in a heartbeat.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I was very into this.
Would Florida ban it?
I don't know. I mean, like, I think it does a really good, it's got a lot of competency about, like, there are things that obviously could be improved on.
It definitely has that, like, whole, we're in a fake nation full of Hispanic people, and we've just cast a bunch of dudes in fatigue green shirts with mustaches.
But I feel like the reason that it was a fictional country was intentional.
Yeah, so that she didn't put her foot in.
Yeah, and I think, like, I mean, again, they're at a restaurant, and, like, she's trying to explain... like classic South American, like,
oh, we've read way worse
culinary stuff. He actually orders in Spanish, even though it's a dos cafés, por favor.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like there is, and she does try to make some, attempt to obviously she's not getting into like the whole political history of the Troubles, but like she's talking about like like what essentially it's like to be in Northern Ireland. So I think she does a good job. Obviously, like everyone in this is. Oh, there is an interesting like interesting chapter where he talks about like her cut, like the way that she like her hair is very dark, her eyes are very dark, but she's very pale. And he says something about like, you could almost be like, Hispanic. And she was like, well, I'm Black Irish. And she's like, I always wanted to have the coloring, the skin color, like that really nice bronze, which I thought was interesting because it wasn't anything. It was like just talking about how beautiful like Latin women are. Like it was in a positive way, I guess.
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember anything in this that would rise to the level of where we have to make disclaimers about it like we usually do with even the most innocuous of books.
There's a funny, I don't even know. There's like a little aside where she's talking to Linda and one of her servants comes up and calls her Miss Linda. And Kara jokes, she's like, I knew you had slaves. And Linda's like, don't be so American. And I was like, I don't know if this is.
I don't know how to take any of it.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, it was. But I think it does. Again, we have read. I think at least this one is like a little bit of cultural competency about it. There is jokes about. But again, it's not anything negative. When she goes to see the sex worker that he's friends with, she's talking to the sex worker.
Add her to the Bechdel to bitch count too.
Yeah, she talks to her and they have a very real conversation. And she's like, oh no, he's never done anything with me. Not that I haven't tried. She's like, it was like at some point, that I thought he was like a little bit funny. That's the sex worker, but when she comes back and tells Steve, she's like, oh, she thought you were gay for a while.
Oh yeah, and they make jokes about it for a while too.
Yeah, but it wasn't anything negative or
no, it was just like literally she thought you were gay.
And it was kind of like, it was just interesting because it just was like, hey, we've got the word gay in here without a positive or negative connotation, so yeah, I think again
for 1987.
Yes.
Yeah, but Florida would still like it because everybody is, white and straight and,
Oh, for sure.
You're not leaving the house looking like that. It's got outfit.
Oh my gosh, her dinner outfit, she's got like a silk jersey dress on and then
you could tell it was so hot. Oh my God, it was I wanted it.
But yeah, even better was like my exennials, my Gen Xers, my older millennials. Do y'all remember when you would get the shoes dyed to match your prom dress?
Or your bridesmaid's dress? Yeah.
Yes, so she had those, but they were black. The outfit,
so like, why do you have to dye if she was black? You could just buy black shoes.
It was amazing, and then she had on like this little black jersey dress. Again, the Meemaw outfit that we have talked about.
Yeah, man, that nightgown was hot.
Yeah, so
because it was so specifically described, and of course you can envision it exactly. So that's why it was so hot.
She does a really good job of describing the clothes. And I was like, yes.
You would think that more romance novels would, but they do not.
This is why we love Jackie. Jackie will give you some clothes. Jackie Collins will give you an outfit. Would your 12-year-old self have dog-eared any pages?
Yes. Well, I mean, this is silhouette intimate moment.
Yes. So it's very purple. And I was like, I found it as an adult being like, but like as a 12-year-old,
yes.
I'd have been like, give it to me.
It's got that thing that these books often have in this time period where it's real explicit. For like, as in, like, you can tell exactly who's doing what, like who's on top of who, what they're wearing and all until the second like it becomes sex in any way, like even like above the waist, like even sometimes you get more with the tits, but I mean like still they love they love tits in that. But the second it actually gets down to anything that you couldn't show before 10 o'clock on TV, it gets real vague, and that would have I remember that being very frustrating when I was a 12. Yes, I was like, what? Where is that going? I don't understand. How does it mean to be stallion ready? Yeah, I would have had no clue. So let's see. What pairs nicely with a dumpster fire? I'm going to go with let's see. They're obviously Irish coffee. Well, there's so many you could go with Irish coffee. Oh my God. Do I say it? I don't know what you're going to say. You got to go. Oh, don't say that. You can say it if you want to say it. You got to go Irish car bomb. Courtney. It is so. I was talking to some friends about it in the UK who were like, that is wild that is a drink. Yeah, that is wild. That is a drink. So in 1989, and this is just going to seem wild to any young people listening. It will sound so matter of fact to any people our age or older. They used to have this thing called the Irish Children's Summer Program, where like things were so fucking bad in Northern Ireland that they would ship children. Of course, they didn't do this to like children in Ethiopia. But they, the poor white children of Northern Ireland, they would send you, and they really wanted you to take two. They wanted you to take a Protestant and a Catholic. But my parents took one, and it's a good thing because I was an only child, and I was accustomed to being an only child. And now there was another child for 6 weeks, I think. Might have even been longer. Might have been 12. But I mean,
I had no idea about this.
Yes, Tina. And my God, I would have murdered her because we went down to Florida where my grandparents lived. We went to Disney and all. And I had to share my grandpa. Like I had to share anything. I had to share anything at all. I mean, she had her own room and everything still. Oh my fucking God.
Which one did you get? Did you get an Irish one, or a Catholic one or a Protestant?
She must have been Catholic. Yeah, Catholic.
Well, then I'm Team Tina. I'm totally joking.
I often wonder, hey, Tina, if you're still out there,
I know.
where are you? How are you doing?
Don't you wish you kind of had like? It's
I'm
always
really sorry I was such an asshole.
No, I think this one they're like. I'd probably give it some kind of like. They drink brandy. Like the only drinks I really have.
I think that's like a fireplace drink because like, that's where all the action happens. Is in a fireplace.
No, I agree with that. Or maybe,
or something you drink out of a flask in the jungle. I mean,
you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to go old school, and I'm going to say Jameson's because we're Jameson's, and even though we're going with the Catholic whiskey over Bushmills, so. That's more of an Irish American thing, but
you can have it. You can keep it. It's okay. I mean, like, so is this book.
It's like how like if you go to a bar like up in like up in New England, the Northeast, whatever their illuminated sign is for lets you know what kind of bar it is. Like if it's Bushmills, it's a Protestant bar, and if it's Jameson, it's a Catholic bar.
And he does seem to have been. I mean, she's a little coy about how exactly he got hurt in Ireland, but it does seem that he was on the IRA side, doesn't it?
Yes, but this is all jokes. All jokes.
Don't come for me, please. Please don't come for me. Unless you're Tina, in which case, how are you doing?
Yeah, we'd love to hear from Tina. And then, should a human being in the 21st century read this?
Yes, this makes me like so much more excited about this project, which I was already kind of excited about. We're not going to do them all at once or whatever, but I have a whole bookshelf full of them.
Yeah,
because this was so much fun. I loved it. I would have never picked up this one unless I just picked it up for the cover. Never heard this author before, and I don't often. Sometimes these guys are just too harsh for me, like, as an adult. Like, I loved them when I was a kid, but, like, we've read a lot of guys that I just absolutely hated in this sort of romantic suspense.
Again, he's a little emo boy. Like, he's very, like, in his feelings.
He's tender.
And he is listening to The Smiths. He is listening to Joy Division. He is listening to... all of my bands, and it makes me happy because he's such a little emo.
Well, and his reasoning is not stupid.
No, I mean, it makes complete sense. Like, what do you do with, like, if your whole adult life is going around to foreign countries and, like, getting people out of jams?
You don't even have a house. Like,
and then you meet a lady who's like, I want kids.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's kind of insurmountable. Honestly, one of you is going to have to make a big old decision. And also, it's quite likely one day that she's going to get, like, not even like a uniformed officer. She's going to get maybe a phone call, maybe not,
Yeah.
Like, so it's...
Yeah, because she does say at one point, like, oh, what happens to, like, retired mercenaries? And he's like, oh, we don't retire.
No. the retirement plan is not great.
No. But it does, like, it is very fun and kind of, like, of that A-team, just...
I was surprised there was not more peril in it. Like, after like, the first 10 pages, I thought that she was going to get kidnapped at the end. And, I mean, there was that whole thing with there was, like, somebody watching them and they were threatening
and,
her.
Like, again, I feel like the author goes to great lengths to let you know that, like, she's not in
this is safe. It's okay.
Yes. So I think it's a very fun... escapism kind of, yeah.
This is I wish they were all kind of like this or super hard, one way or the other. Either like super hardcore, like run and gun, or like this where like it's got the trappings of romantic suspense, but you know, you can read it and not worry about everybody.
Yeah, for sure. So this was Danger Zone by Doreen, Owens, Malek, and we highly enjoyed this. We hope that you go and pick it up. I think it was $1.99 on Kindle.
I believe I got it like at off of Libris, and it cost more to ship than it did to buy the.
Yes, but her books are available in Kindle format too, because I was looking. And she is a hoot, and she loves like a lot of the Courtney tropes. So give her a shot, and we'll see you next time.
Bodice Tipplers is part of the Frolic Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts.
When I used to work at Best Buy back in my high school, college days, let me tell you, the worst man in the world, the one that you just want to drop off of a ledge, is the one that would come in at 4:45 on Christmas Eve and inevitably buy his wife a vacuum cleaner.
These days, though,
I mean, here's the thing. You know why I love a vacuum cleaner? I have a collection. I have an army. I have an army of vacuum
cleaners on the curb because I'm weeding the collection today.
But I'm saying, like, you know that this guy, like, that's her thing. That is what she's getting, is that it's not like, oh, I went and got her a bunch of other stuff and the vacuum cleaner.
Or this is the vacuum cleaner she's always wanted. It's like really nice.
No.
It's like how do you say it? Miel, like that guy.
No, this is one of those upright jobs that's like, yeah.
I have to say, I have transitioned from Dyson to the $100 upright Jabberoni that's got a bag in it. It's fantastic. It weighs 7 pounds tops. Like it cleans.
Vacuum cleaners.
It cleans better than the Dyson does. It doesn't fucking break. It just does its goddamn job.
We're so lame. We got to start this over. Like, oh my God, we could use this as an outtake or something. The vacuum talk of 2024. But Lord, we are better than this.
Well, we can cut everything out.
We are better than this. So